call sign only, 124.225. Easy 12 Whiskey Tango, time out heading 325.
Heading 325, easy 12 Whiskey Tango. Easy 9 Alpha X-ray stop.
Easy 9 Alpha X-ray, 160 knots until 5 miles. Easy 9 Alpha X-ray complex tower, with your call sign only, 124.225. Goodbye.
So welcome to this live broadcast coming to you live from Gatwick Airport. Today we're going to meet some of the airport security team at Gatwick Airport. We're delighted to be joined by Sarah and Kieran. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Sarah, can we just come to you first? Sarah, just tell us exactly what you do there at the airport, please.
I'm an airport security officer.
Okay, and just tell us briefly what do you have to do as an airport security officer? What's your role involved?
It involves lots of screening bags, searching people that come through, and making sure everyone's safe.
And then Kieran, are you in a similar role, or do you do something slightly different to Sarah?
No, I'm in exactly the same role. I'm an airport security officer here. I'm responsible for searching bags, searching people. We do various patrols and checking various areas of the airport as well, and just making sure that everybody has a smooth and enjoyable transfer through that part of the airport through onto their destination.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to find out a little bit more about you. I know you were kind enough to do this video earlier on this year, so looking forward to watching that now. But before we do, just a reminder to the schools to leave us your questions. Some of you have already done that, which is great. A question like about how do you apply for your role just come through, which we'll ask you that shortly. But in the meantime, we're going to play you this video, and guys, we'll come back to you after this to answer more of these questions. Okay? So.
Thank you.
My name's Kieran Dobson and I'm an airport security officer here at London Gatwick.
My name is Sarah Kane and I'm an airport security officer at London Gatwick.
So a typical day would normally start with a team briefing of about 15 minutes, telling us exactly how many passengers we're expecting through, the lane we'll be working on. Then we sort of head on to lane and start our day from there.
The three main skills that you need to be a security officer are good customer service, attention to detail and teamwork.
It's a safety critical role. You've got to have good focus, good attention to detail the whole time. The level of customer service you've got to give here as a security officer is vital. Some people are coming through for the first time, some people are coming through for a happy occasion, others very sad. You've got to have a good level of understanding, good levels of communication, and you've just got to be a really good people person.
To prepare passengers coming through security, you've got to be quite informative, let them know exactly what we need them to do. We see 4 colours on an X-ray image. There's orange, which is organic, blue, which is inorganic. You have a mix of the 2, which is green, and then anything that comes up black is X-ray opaque. The role itself is very important. Not only do we screen passengers coming through, we also screen the staff. So we make sure that everyone in the airport is safe to be there. We're not here to make people feel uncomfortable or scared or feel like we're going to take things away from them. It's important we make them feel safe, make them feel welcome. It definitely takes a unique person to be a security officer. You're going to come across lots of different people with, language barriers, different situations, be able to adjust to the people that you come across, be really versatile in the role that you're doing.
At the peak time of year, you can see anything up to 45 to 50,000 passengers coming through either terminal. It quietens down in the winter time, and we've still got to maintain that level of service and experience that we give to the passengers here.
I like being an ASO because it's very different to a lot of the other jobs that I've done. You get to work with a lot of different people.
It's the happiest place I've ever been in. I've got a great group of guys that I work with who are almost like a second family, and it's a very rewarding job because you are basically the first line of defence in terms of keeping passengers safe. No one day is ever the same. It's just a fabulous place to work, and I could thoroughly recommend working here.
People have a preconceived idea of what a security officer is. Here at Gatwick, that can be further from the truth. I'm a 5'3" girly girl, couldn't be further from the grain, and I love working at Gatwick.
So we're back live at Gatwick Airport this afternoon. It's just to confirm it is live. It's definitely a Wednesday, guys, isn't it?
It is Wednesday today, yes.
That's good to know. Just give us a bit of a weather forecast. I know you probably don't see much of the weather outside, but what is it doing today down in Gatwick?
It's not looking too bad at the moment. It's a little bit cloudy, but it's quite a nice-ish day at the moment. So it's we've got a window. It's different to see it from this side. So.
No, I mean, before we get into the questions, and just to remind the schools again to leave your questions on. Thank you for those who've posted them so far. Can I just ask? I mean, it was obviously you guys work long hours, you work shifts. I really do appreciate you giving up your time today, but it must be a very busy area you work in. It's constantly going on, isn't it? These passengers landing all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very difficult to sort of. I mean, we obviously get breaks built into the shifts that we have, and there can be different amounts of passenger flow coming through. So sometimes it's very a lot busier than other times.
Depends on the time of year, doesn't it? In the summer months, it's really busy.
Time of day as well. Yeah, morning and sort of evening flights tend to be very busy. Maybe lunchtimes it will drop off a little bit, but it constantly changes the whole time.
So can we talk about that? Obviously, the shift pattern, because it isn't your sort of 9 to 5, is it? So, Sarah, what sort of hours do you do, and what days do you have to work?
So I'm on a flexible roster. We're actually both on a flexible roster. We do the roster that starts the earliest out of all of them. So the earliest shift we'll do is a 2:45 in the morning start. The latest we can finish is 11. We don't do any night shifts. We just do really early starts and later shifts. There are lots of different rosters that you can do that give you different styles of shifts. So we do have a shift where it's nights and days, but they're longer shifts.
Yeah, I mean, as Sarah says, we're on the most flexible roster that there is, which means effectively that we're only ever knowing what our shifts are 3 weeks ahead of time. And we could be doing anything from 2 to 3 days 1 week, or we could be doing a maximum of 5 shifts in one row. And there could be 2 to 3 rest days in between, and it depends on the hours we're doing. So.
And the time of year.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, Kieran, you've obviously come from probably more of a 9 to 5 background, if that's fair to say. What was that transition like, moving from that kind of sector into doing shifts? I mean, what was it like for you personally?
It was a very sort of dramatic change, certainly. Like you say, it was more of a 9 to 5 background that I'd been in previously. But I really just sort of fancied a change from working up in the city in the office environment. I wanted to sort of deal with people more face to face. I wanted more of a challenge and wanted to have a bit more sort of interaction and feel like I was getting more reward from the job I was doing, more job satisfaction, I suppose. So for me personally, that change of role helped me dramatically in adapting to this role, because I found it a lot more enjoyable than what I was doing prior to that.
So we've had a question. I'm going to let you take this one first. This is from St. Michael's. It came on earlier, so thank you, St. Michael's, for this. So what's the best part of your job, being on security? What do you enjoy the most?
The thing I love the most is getting to interact with different people from all over the world. I'm really interested in travel and seeing the world, and hearing people's stories. I find it amazing, where they've been, the things they've seen, why they're going away, that sort of thing. I love it.
Yeah, because I must admit, my experience with security is people just want to get it out of the way, don't they? Do you have a chance to chat to people? But have a conversation with them.
It depends what position you're on. If you're searching a person or their bag, there's lots of opportunity to have a quick chat while you're doing your job. Obviously, you've got to concentrate on what you're doing, but once you get used to doing your job, it becomes very easy to naturally do what you're doing, but have a conversation as well. So, especially bag searching, I think, 'cause they vary in length of how long they take, depending on what you're looking for. So, yeah, I think bag searching is a good opportunity.
It's probably the longest opportunity you get to speak to passengers in that area, and actually it makes people feel a lot more ease when you're actually sort of looking to sort of take a genuine interest in where they're going, what they're doing, if it's a happy, sad occasion, and rather than you sort of maybe doing a bag search for anywhere between 2 to say 5 minutes, depending on how thorough a bag search you've got to do. If you're actually talking with these people and actually treating them as you should be, just like we would treat anybody else, the bag search just seems far more normal that way. So.
No, as we've been chatting, there's been more questions coming through, so we're going to try and get through as many of these. But that's really interesting, because I think it's, you do need to have a customer service experience. Is that fair to say? So if anybody wanted to do that before applying, even working in some kind of retail, I mean, that would help them, I suspect.
Yeah, I was a team leader in a department store before I worked here. When I saw the job application and what skills you needed and attributes you needed, seeing teamwork, I thought, it's not something you would assume is something you need in that job, but actually it's probably one of the most vital roles. You need to be able to communicate with the people you're coming across and the team you're with, and the management, other people, other departments. It's really important.
So on that role, Kieran, how did you apply for your roles? That's a question from St. Mary's.
So I actually applied through the Gatwick Careers website and was looking at a variety of different jobs at that point. But as Sarah touched upon, in terms of some of the skill level you need here, one being great customer service, working in a very busy and for a lot of passengers coming through, it can be fairly sort of stressful or new experience to them. So the level of sort of good communication skills and the integration with people and being able to sort of keep a level head is what really the reason why I decided to push myself forward for that. So.
Okay, these are just going to be quite random now, because I was asking you all sorts of things. Sarah, what does I know you worked as a boarding pass assistant. So what was that about? What was that involving, and how does that compare to what you're doing now?
Sorry, I didn't hear the end of the question.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I was asking you about your previous role as a boarding pass assistant, and how does that compare to what you do now?
It's just a small fraction actually of what we do now. So we still check boarding passes and that during our job now. It was an extra position as such while I was waiting for the job that they made so that they could relieve some pressure from the other crews. So I just started by making sure that people could actually enter into security, and they were actually going away and checking all of their details on their boarding passes. That sort of thing.
We've had a great question actually, which I'm going to run straight through to, and you can both answer this. So I'm going to ask Sarah first. What's the strangest thing you found in a suitcase?
The strangest thing I've personally found was a Japanese, I think it was more of a display knife. It looked like a butcher's knife, like a block with a long handle. There was really beautiful design on the handle and the actual knife itself, and serrated edges in both directions. It was quite clearly a display piece, but it was a gentleman that had been travelling around Japan, and he really wanted to take it home.
And was that allowed through in the end, or did you have to confiscate that?
No. So with sharp items, you can take anything up to 6 centimetres, scissors, knives, that sort of thing. If it's anything over, or if it's a prohibited item, so it's illegal in the UK, either they can check it into their hold luggage, so they don't have access to it on the plane, or depending on what it is, if it's illegal, then the police get phoned and they come and deal with it.
And Kieran, I mean, I'm sure you found a few things in your time there working there. What's the strangest thing that you've come across so far?
Pretty similar in terms of a couple of items, I suppose. So I suppose the strangest item that certainly looked like on an X-ray, it was actually what looked like just an ordinary pen with a hidden blade inside of it. But once we actually started talking to the passenger a little bit more, what it actually transpired, again, someone who'd been travelling around Europe for some time, what they claimed at least was that it was a letter opener for a family member that they bought. But because it looked so much like a concealed weapon, that's why it was immediately stopped and inspected by us. But we chatted with the passenger, and I double checked with the lane manager that we always have every shift we do. He just sort of reaffirmed that, it was nice and it wasn't going to be permitted through. But he would be allowed the opportunity, this particular passenger, to go back and check the bag in and explain to his airline the circumstances and why he would want to go through. So,
we've got time for a few more questions. So thanks for your time so far today. We've got a few more we want to try and get through. People are actually asking about progression within your team. So Sarah, you've already moved up to where you are now, but what would be next for you if you were progressing within security?
It very much depends on what type of security you do. So we work internally in the airport. There is an external security team as well. But internally there are 2 different types of security. So there's passenger security and there's staff security. We work passenger security, so we face the people that are going on holiday or for whatever reason they're going away. If I was to personally progress, you would go to a team leader role, so a security team leader. Once you hit that stage, you then have opportunity to become a lane performance manager or just a security performance manager. They're the highest in passenger security. Then you've got their bosses, which are sort of the head of security. Is there anyone else?
yeah, well, I mean, that's more or less the sort of line you can go up in terms of security. But obviously, there are so many different departments and so many different people here that keep the airport running. So, we've got staff and passenger security, but you've got human resources, you've got occupational health. There are guys that make sure that we get our rosters through every week and on time, and occupational health make sure that they keep us fit and steady for the sort of physical demands of the job. Obviously, there's many retail roles here as well, there's a lot of sort of office work that goes on behind the scenes as well. So there's so many thousands of people that work here. We're only just sort of maybe one small part of that, but we probably see the most people coming through this airport. So.
And just a great question as well in from OWA, thank you for this, is do you work with a team or are you mainly by yourself? Well, this might be for a young person who's not actually been through security maybe. I'm looking at that video earlier, it looks like teamwork is essential, isn't it?
Absolutely correct. Yeah, I mean, the majority of us who I work with anyway in terms of the team, we're all part of the same training group that came through together, so we're all very familiar with ourselves. And there's about, I'd say 18 to 20 of us on the various shift patterns, with obviously the annual leave when people are off, or if there's any sick leave as well. The numbers can change. But we're all very familiar, and that teamwork is essential. So to have trained together and know everybody's kind of background and to sort of all get on very well is, you've got to have great communication skills with passengers, but also your sort of fellow colleagues alike. But it's also important that you get on with all the other team members here as well. Again, there's the different rosters you can do here. So, you could be working different shift patterns, different departments, different sections of the airport. There's overtime shifts that become available, and you can do shift swaps as well when you're looking to maybe get a day off to be able to sort of do something outside of work. So you need to work with everybody basically in this environment. So
you're generally stuck with one team though, so you have your crew. I personally didn't train with my crew, and I joined my crew later on, but you generally have just one crew, but you do kind of intermingle with others.
Oh, this is great, guys. Thank you so much for that. Just one final question. It's really about, I think, going back to your shift pattern, and it comes up quite a lot in the questions today. Is do you have to work at night? That's the latest.
Well, the latest on the shift pattern that we can work is anything up to 11 o'clock at night, and then we have what is a 24-hour team that come and take us off, and they have a different shift pattern themselves. So 24 hours would be 6 a.m. till 6 p.m, and then their sister team would be 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. So on a flexi roster for us, we can work anything as early as 2:45 in the morning up to about midday. And the latest we could do is maybe an early afternoon start around 12 or 1 o'clock and finishing about 11 o'clock. You've also got what's called a double days roster, where they do 4 or 5 days a week, and their hours are a bit more fixed in terms of
they know what they're doing all year, don't
yeah, they've got a roster all year round, as opposed to we only know our shift patterns 3 weeks ahead of time. Same for the 24-hour guys as well. But you've also got the guys who do the external security here and vehicle inspections, and they're also on a separate roster as well. So,
okay, what we'll finish off with is, Sarah, I just want to ask you about, obviously, the young people who are watching today and will watch this back on demand, to try and think about this industry and getting involved in security. What would you say to them? How can you inspire them today to actually maybe look at that, and where would they go to apply?
I think the only way you can apply is online. If I'm honest, I don't actually know that. But I would say definitely practice your working with other people. Work hard in school. It's important. What else can you think of?
yeah, I mean, you've got to really apply yourself, and you've got to be prepared to sort of work very closely with people. And yeah, I mean, the grading is very important, as it is with anything in terms of schooling. But I think in terms of our role as starting off here, you sort of need a minimum of several GCSEs. Obviously, your English is very important in being able to communicate with people. But again, you've got people from all walks of life coming over here. So, other languages, French, Spanish, Italian, they're all very useful as well. And even just sort of basic sign language is a very good skill to be able to adapt here. But certainly any group skills that you can apply to what you take from the school environment to here, and just being generally a good communicator. You've got to be full of energy, and you've just got to be sort of very aware of people coming through the airport. They could be very happy, they're very used to this, and they could be very stressed or coming through for a sad occasion. So you've just got to be a very good people person and very understanding.
It's very important. A very important thing that you mustn't have when applying for the job is to be colourblind. And we work a lot with X-rays, and they're all based on the colour.
Yeah.
It goes on whether they're organic or inorganic or made of different materials, and those colours are different. So it's really important that you can't be colourblind, otherwise you won't be able to operate an X-ray.
For any young person who's interested, I mean, you get full training, don't you, in your role? So there's plenty of opportunity to get the experience you need before you're thrown into that sort of line of security. What we saw on the video, I guess there's lots of training that goes on before you get to that point.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, it was when I joined, it was a 3-week training program. It's both classroom based and it's based on lane. You get taught a lot of the sort of the nitty-gritty in terms of prohibited items, sort of legal, technical terms and backgrounds, how X-rays work, the correct terminology you need to be able to actually gain people's consent in terms of searching them either by person or on bags. And actually, one of the additional duties that Sarah does is that she does a lot of on-job training with the new recruits that come through as well. So
yeah, so it very much depends on when they've employed people. But last year, you know, we did one training group a month, and I helped with training the people on the lane. So I help with their physically doing the job, practicing with real people, that kind of thing, getting their terminology right, making sure they're doing everything correctly. You know, there's always support from the classroom stage all the way through to the on-job training, and then when you actually get the job eventually.
Absolutely, and we've got to maintain compliance standards here as well. So I mean, every sort of quarter of the year, we actually sort of go in for an additional training session to make sure that we're still compliant and maintaining the skills we require. So,
yeah.
Great. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you both on Learn Live with Gatwick Airport. We finally got you to do this, which is great, and finally get a chance to meet you. Thank you for sharing what you do at security. And also giving us some insights as to what young people need to do next if they're interested in becoming security at Gatwick Airport. I just want to say thank you as well to the schools who've joined us today. Great questions as always. We've got another day coming up this month as well, which we'll share details with you after this call as well. You'll be able to watch a recording of this, so we'll be able to get that out to you later on in the week. So goes on to say thank you very much to Kieran. Thank you very much to Sarah and for all the guys behind the scenes there at Gatwick Airport who made this possible.
thank you ever so much, and thank you for all your questions today, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Bye.